There you go.
They're seated at 803, which they won the Division I large Section 1 championship in. But, Chris, the 5 teams that are the top 5 seeds here are 5 of the 6 fastest teams, regardless of class of the Volunteer State. We're going to be saying that a lot tonight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and then you're going to see some faster times because, you know, when you come to the state track meet, that's it. So you know the times are going to be fast. Guys are going to give it everything they have. And just like you said, yeah, they're going to stay with the game plan. But I think somebody's going to give an extra little oomph because they know that this is it and this is state championship.
Team I'm interested to see here is Whitehaven. They're wearing hip number 3, known for their sprint prowess, but starting to develop more of a mid-distance to distance program. And they come in seated at 816. Okay. So Whitehaven here, who was 3rd last year in 806, they've got that championship experience. Can they maybe break into the distance ranks a little bit here and score some major points to help out the likes of Emmanuel Bynum, who we'll see later in the 1, 2, and 4, and kind of put Whitehaven maybe on the podium when this thing's all said and done?
Yeah, it's about scoring points. I mean, if you're just dominant in the sprints, the 1, the 2, and the 4, but you're not dominant in the long distance, yeah, you may score some points, but you're not going to be successful if you don't get a whole bunch of points that you need.
So Farragut wears hip number 11. They're the top seed here. Bearden High School comes in as the 2nd fastest seed at 807. In fact, the top 4 teams are all from the Division I, Section 1, or Section 3, well, Section 1 championship, the top 3, and then Franklin and West Creek coming from the Section 3 championship. I mean, these are 5 really good teams, and the city of Knoxville showing out with some really good 4x8
Man,
teams.
they really are. I mean, it's just very, very impressive. And it just shows you how strong the 4x8 has gotten. You know, I never was a fan of the 4x8, but look, just like what you said, listening to the times, listening to what they're doing, looking at all the talent that's in the 4x8, I'm telling you, man, it's a sight to see.
Blackman and Farragut running out in front right now, the orange and blue. Actually, that's somebody else. Trying to think out who that is. It's not. It looks like the orange and blue Blackman. But Maryville High School looks like is in there as well, but I'll tell you what, Chris, when I got to UT and ran there for a couple of seasons on their distance cross-country program and came there with a lot of Knoxville guys. And I remember one of the first things I took away was the city of Knoxville is obsessive over the 4x8. I couldn't understand it, but every single practice, every race, everything, it's, oh, well, if I lost you today, well, okay, our 4x8 team beat you in high school, and that's really all they cared about for a little while.
But it'd be like in the 3rd grade, when you had a mustache, I still beat you in the 4x8.
Yeah, I mean, you're not far off. You're not far off. It was so funny to me. But really, at the same time, there's something to be said about local bragging rights. I think when you've got teams that are pushing you across your region, you get to a state championship, you don't really have to get up and kind of get the competitive juices flowing. It's been that way all season.
I mean, it's like Ohio State going against Michigan. We just don't like each other. And it's all about bragging rights. And I just think that's the same thing when you have a 4x8 race.
So that was Rossview that was in front. It's Franklin
now.
Is going. That's gone to the front of the pack.
That's a lot of people in there.
It sure is. 16 teams is hard to navigate, and certainly want to give credit to all the officials that are keeping the traffic cleared out as best they can down there after everybody hands off.
Yeah, and I think, too, it's jockeying for position. I mean, I know, just imagine 5 or 6 teams get the baton at the same time. You got to make sure you don't run into the next person. And there's so many things that are going on. So I think the runners have to be focused. Got to make sure you get the baton, make sure you don't take off early, and make sure you don't run into anybody. So those are the keys.
A couple of big names to watch for on the anchor legs. Miguel Perilla of Hardin Valley Academy. He's committed to ETSU to continue his running career. His dad, Tony, an All-American, an Olympian from the University of Tennessee back in the 80s. Wow. His brother, Jose, also runs at the University of Tennessee, just graduated this past spring. You've also got Preston Ruth of Bearden High School. He'll anchor for the Bulldogs. Ruth, a future Tennessee Volunteer. So,
man, so many volunteers.
That's right. 2 of the East Tennessee guys and lots of Tennessee signees tonight. We'll see Eric Parker of Cleveland later in the high hurdles. Emmanuel Bynum of Whitehaven, another Tennessee Volunteer. And unfortunately, we won't see Marquise Schufert, who won this meet last year in the 100 and 10:49. He's dealt with a hamstring issue the past couple weeks and wasn't able to run in the section meets, but he'll also be a volunteer on Rocky Top. So exciting times in Orange and White, right?
Yeah, they are. I mean, we didn't say no Ohio State. We didn't say no Michigan. It's all balls. And you get so excited. You light up when you say it.
Hey, the exciting thing, to kind of bring it back to our conversation from earlier, is this is a state that you want to build a fence around.
I agree
with
100%.
The talent.
Yes. I mean, there's just a lot of talent. I mean, look at the state champions or past champions that are doing great things. Look at Jalen Ramsey. Went to the Jaguars. He jumped 25-2 here at the state meet. So it just shows you there's a rich talent in Tennessee.
4:02 at the halfway point. These guys are on pace anywhere from 8:05 to 8:10. Maybe if you've got a big-time anchor leg, you can get right around 8 minutes flat. Well, we'll see if any of these runners can get to that point. But it's Farragut, Franklin, Cleveland, and Whitehaven, as we expected. Didn't come in seeded very highly, but they were third last year.
Right.
And if they can get around 8:10 to 8:15, that's going to score maybe 5 to 6 big points for the Haven, as they say it, as the meet rolls on.
Yeah, and the times are going to change, really. And the reason why I say they're going to change is because a lot of teams are just not really loading up their team until they get to state. They just want to just make sure that they kind of spread around, get some points in region. But when they get to state, that's when they load up the teams, and that's why you're going to see some significant times change.
So East Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, East Tennessee, and West Tennessee leading in the top 4 right now. The Farragut Admirals came in as the top seed at 8:03, and so far they're still running well. Cleveland looking for big points here, and we mentioned them in our open as well. They're chasing Brentwood High. Cleveland and Whitehaven are going to be the biggest threats to Brentwood High School's opportunity to repeat as the large schools champions. But Brentwood High, led by Jet Kinder, who had the #1 decathlon score in the country at the state meet last week. He has led them to 77 points. But Cleveland and Whitehaven just trying to chip away, starting with event number 1.
Especially with Whitehaven. Whitehaven's going to really do good in the sprint. So I think Brentwood definitely has to get these points right here. So I just think it's going to be awesome to see if it comes down to the last event at the 4x4.
Franklin came in at 8:08.72, 4th fastest in the state. They're hanging in there right now. The Rebels and the Admirals running out in front. It's a good nickname. A little bit different. But Farragut's going to get the handoff first. Don't sleep on Whitehaven here. Andre Brown will anchor for them, see if he can get them back in the mix. This is what you live for as a distance runner, or even just a runner, period. You get the baton last. It's like the bottom of the 9th.
Oh, man.
Bases are loaded, and you're going to finish things off.
Man, I mean, this like you said, this is what you wait for. And just imagine if you're down by 15 meters and you come back and win. I mean, it's just so exciting. And when you do that, I love it when the crowd goes, woo, and that's what you love. So you can put your team in prime position to go out there and do something great.
Farragut, Franklin, Whitehaven, running 1, 2, and 3 right now. We'll see if Preston Ruth of Bearden High School can maybe sneak the Bulldogs onto the podium spot in the top 5 or 6. Now, of course, when you've got 16 teams, you're not guaranteed any points. I mean,
guaranteed,
and that's where things get really interesting in this division, in the sprint relays especially.
Yeah.
You got to get the baton around safely because you're losing big-time points to teams that are hungry and run well out of Section 2.
I mean, that's why every point counts, from the field events to the relays to the long distance. You got to make sure you do your job, because you may get some points, you may not get your points, because there's so many teams that's in state.
So here comes Franklin High School into the lead. They'll take the bell. Here we go. 7:04 with a lap to go. Top time in Tennessee would be anything 60 or below, and they've got the wind at their backs as they make their way to the backstretch.
Oh, man, just a great race. I mean, you got these top three teams, and they're doing absolutely fantastic. Every runner looks strong. Everybody looks like they're primed to put themselves in position to win. So let's see what happens in this last 300.
Really important to see how a distance runner reacts to that first 200 meters after getting passed. Farragut has done a really good job here of continuing to stay confident. And when a small gap opens, it hasn't gotten too big. And then we're going to race here in the final 150, and this one's going to look really good.
Yeah, you just got to stay with your game plan. I mean, I think that's why people lose, or participants lose, is because they get out of their game plan. I think Farragut just got to stay with the game plan and do what he did to get there.
Franklin High School with a bit of an advantage now, and it's going to be too much for the Admirals. Can Whitehaven get back into second?
He's going to get him.
But your state champion is going to be Franklin High School and a new season best. And look at Whitehaven, 8:08.
Wow.
That's a huge season best for the Haven. They always say, respect the Haven. They got our respect right now.
Man, this is a great comeback. It just shows you that when you have great technique and great focus,